Good evening. Soil is the basis of air that you breathe. Soil is the basis of food that you eat. And soil is the basis of water that you drink. Save soil. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. His Majesty the King paid tribute to the late UAE President. Speaker highlighted Bahrain's comprehensive development in European Parliament. Offline classes began in full swing across schools in Bahrain. Saudi considers two-day weekend for private sector employees. News in detail. His Majesty the King paid tribute to the late UAE President. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa has paid homage to the late Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who passed away last Friday. His Majesty saluted the late leader's legacy, lauding his nation-building role in his country's development and modernization strides, service to his people, the Arab and Islamic nations, and the whole humanity, as well as his contributions along with the Gulf leaders to strengthen the GCC. His Majesty the King ratified and promulgated Law 18 of 2022. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa today ratified and promulgated Law 18 of 2022 on amending Article 231 of the Penal Code, promulgated by Decree Law 15 of 1976, following its approval by the Shura and Representatives Councils. According to the law, Article 231 of Law 15 of 1976 shall be amended as follows. A punishment of a jail term or a fine shall be inflicted upon any person who in the course of a medical or health practice examines a dead person or provides first aid to a seriously injured person with signs showing that their death or injury have resulted from a felony or a misdemeanor, or in case of other circumstances that make its cause suspicious and does not inform the public authority of that. The Prime Minister and Ministers, each in their capacity, shall implement the provisions of this law, which becomes effective upon its publication in the Official Gazette. Speaker highlighted Bahrain's comprehensive development in European Parliament. The European Parliament's Committee on Foreign Affairs hosted Speaker Fawzia bint Abdullah Zainal in its meeting. The Speaker highlighted the comprehensive development in Bahrain under the leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and focused on the latest strides forward in human rights. She stressed that the meetings between the Council of Representatives and the European Parliament reflect the relations between Bahrain and the European Union countries and a continuous endeavor to develop cooperation in all fields. Zainal said that Bahrain, under the leadership of His Majesty the King and its people's compassion, tolerance, coexistence and national efforts, is undergoing comprehensive modernization in the administrative, developmental, economic, political, cultural and social programs. Stage set for International Paralympic Badminton Championship. The stage is set for the first International Paralympic Badminton Championship, which will kick off on Monday and run until May 21st. Bahrain Paralympic Committee joined hands with the Bahrain Badminton and Squash Federation to organize the tournament, being held for the first time in the Middle East. More than 180 players requesting 33 countries are set to take part in the championship, which will be held in Hall D of the Sheikh Isa bin Rashid Al Khalifa Arena. The Bahrain Paralympic Committee called on the public to attend the competition, scheduled to be held daily from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Injas Bahrain concluded 2021-2022 Smart Investor Program. Bahrain Bourse, in collaboration with Injas Bahrain, concluded Smart Investor Program. BHP CEO Sheikh Khalifa bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa and Injas Chairperson Sheikh Hassa bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, Assistant Under Secretary for Education Latifa Benuda, and Licensing and Follow-up of Private Schools Director Lulwa Al Muhana were present. The competition included a three-phase winner selection process to select three winning teams. The three finalists were Modern Knowledge School winning first place, Miriam bint Umran Primary Girls School second place, and Al Hekma International School third place. Winners of the best video from stage 1 of the first Smart Investor National Competition are Ali Primary Boys Schools, Al Farabi Primary Boys School, and Al Mustaqbi Primary Girls School. Proposal to build majlises at jetties for fishermen. Bahrain's fishermen could be getting their own majlises at local jetties if councillors have their way. The majlises, as proposed by the Southern Municipal Council, will have a main meeting hall, recreational and sports facilities, seating area with a TV, prayer corners, toilets, washrooms, and other needed amenities. Offline classes begin in full swing across schools in Bahrain. Offline classes began in full swing across schools in Bahrain yesterday through online classes, though online classes are still available for those students seeking them. Students were excited to attend offline classes after a long gap of 2 years caused by the pandemic. Today's COVID updates.
COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers.
Indian Ladies Association hosted the Sneha Kids for Eid celebrations called Eid with Sneha on 7th May 2022. It was a very special occasion as this event has been conducted after a period of 2 years. The event began with a welcome address by Mrs. Shipra Dirpasi, the President of ILA, Mrs. Ekta Sethi, ILA member and coordinator for the OMBC Ramadan Bake Sale, handed over the check for funds raised by Healthy Bakers for Sneha to ILA. Along with other bakers present, Mrs. C.G. Binu, Mrs. Soni Kadilkar Damli, Ms. Bharti Pasi, Mrs. Kavita Chowdhury, sponsors Mrs. Nadia Sechali from Let Them Eat Cake and Mrs. Elita Kapoor from Lanterns. The sponsors of the ingredients for the bake sale were represented by Mrs. Tanmay Mohan, Head of Digital Marketing, Lulu Group International, Bahrain. This was followed by a Eid Mubarak cake cutting with all Sneha kids to mark the Eid celebration and welcome them back to the ILA premises. The healthy and beautiful cake was carefully made by Mrs. Ekta and Mrs. C.G. Binu on the theme of butterflies who have transparent wings. Eid gifts sponsored by Lulu Group were distributed to all Sneha kids, which were selected as per their ability and interest, especially after consultation with the teachers, parents and Sneha coordinators. Finally, snacks and drinks were served to all present. Homemade Eid sweets were takeaway gifts to everyone. The Eid treat and celebration was fully coordinated and sponsored by the members of XCOM 2022 as their special way of welcoming Sneha kids back to ILA premises. The founder of Isha Foundation, Sadhguru, who travels the world by bike to spread the message of soil conservation, arrived in Bahrain. During a press conference held at the Embassy of India, he explained the importance of protecting soil. A report.
Sadhguru was accompanied by Indian Ambassador to India, His Excellency Sri Piyush Srivastava, at the press conference. He explained how the life of the world is connected to the much neglected soil by blending science into the knowledge that he acquired throughout his life. The ride, which began in London on March 21st, was marked by various messages to stop contaminating soil. Through it, the world is moving closer to the great mission of how to save soil. Sadhguru Soil Conservation Movement covers over 30,000 kilometers across 26 countries. The goal of the mission is to reach the message to 400 million people. The minimum required organic matter in Earth's topsoil is 3 to 6%. But in most countries of the world, less than 1% of the soil is biodegradable. Sadhguru clarified that it can only be increased with various phase-by-phase plans that last for years.
They talk this thing because it's fanciful, it is fashionable to talk about these things. If you take away all the pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers from the planet today, your food production could come down to 25% of what it is right now. That will be the worst disaster you will see on the planet. So it's very important you don't talk about these things, you raise the organic content, the usage of fertilizer will start sliding down naturally. People think farmer just like out of his joy or stupidity, he keeps throwing fertilizers like this on the land. They don't understand fertilizers cost a lot of money. No farmer will simply throw it unless it's necessary.
Today, 52% of the world's arable land is on the verge of destruction. In order to change this, the people must inform the governments of their countries about this. He opined that through such activities, governments would realize the importance of soil conservation and take necessary steps to address it. It needs only courageous action to conserve the soil and not to invest huge sums of money or the support of great technologies.
Called to incentivize Bahrain farmers to help them save soil by raising its organic content. Renowned global visionary, environmentalist and Save Soil campaign founder Sadhguru warned of global food insecurity of intense proportions if the ongoing extinction of soil goes unarrested. In the almost 2-hour-long speech at Bahrain National Museum last night, Sadhguru mentioned the greatest principles of sustainable living, which could be no way achieved without saving the greatest treasure on our planet called soil. In his high-voltage speech, blended with wisdom and humor, Sadhguru said his campaign is targeting 4 billion people across the world, which in turn could influence policy makers to draft effective solutions to stop the extinction as well as degradation of soil wealth. Sadhguru also praised Bahraini farmer Rashid, who was among the guests invited for the event. Highlighting the huge decline of organic content in the soil across the globe, Sadhguru said, "The recommended minimum organic content in soil is 3% and not a single nation on the planet has this benchmark." He said his campaign is not an agitation or protest, but just a movement created out of the sheer love for life. There has to be life in this planet beyond us, and for this we have to act now. Sheikha Hala bint Muhammad Al Khalifa, Director General of Culture and Arts at the Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities, and Indian Ambassador Piyush Srivastava also spoke at the event, which had many dignitaries in attendance. Now we will be back after a very short break.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
Welcome back. Saudi considers 2-day weekend for private sector employees. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development has said that it is studying the prospects of amending the labor law article related to working hours to increase the weekly off to 2 days for all workers in the private sector. The ministry is keen on taking all the measures that serve the interests of the workers and the labor market in a way that contributes to achieve the government's objectives and the labor market strategy in light of the Kingdom's Vision 2030. Saad Al Hamad, spokesman for the ministry, said while reacting to the demand of private sector employees to review the official working hours and applying the weekly off to 2 days for all sections of workers in the private sector. The ministry has previously worked on proposed amendments to the labor law and had put forward these for feedback through a public opinion poll platform. Saudi students bagged a record of 22 prizes at International Science and Engineering Fair 2022. Saudi students have brought laurels to the kingdom with bagging a record number of 22 prizes at the prestigious Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair 2022. The event was held at the Georgia World Congress Center, Atlanta, in the USA from May 7th to 13th. Saudi Science and Engineering team has won 16 grant awards offered by the competition organizers and 6 special awards offered by local and international organizations in the fields of energy, chemistry, social sciences, behavioral science, botany, material science, environmental engineering, engineering technologies, and transitional medicine. The awards included 2 prizes for each first and second prizes, 5 third places, and a 6 fourth place, in addition to the award for the best research scientist in the world. Shanghai targets June 1st return to normal as COVID lockdown cool economy. Shanghai set out plans on Monday for the return of more normal life from June 1st and the end of a painful COVID-19 lockdown that has lasted more than 6 weeks and contributed to a sharp slowdown in China's economic activity. In the clearest timetable yet, Deputy Mayor Zhong Ming said Shanghai's reopening would be carried out in stages, with movement curbs largely to remain in place until May 21st to prevent a rebound in infections before a gradual easing, Reuters reported. From June 1st to mid and late June, as long as risks of a rebound in infections are controlled, they will fully implement epidemic prevention and control, normalize management and fully restore normal production and life in the city. The full lockdown of Shanghai and COVID curbs on hundreds of millions of consumers and workers in dozens of other cities have hurt retail sales, industrial production and employment, adding to fears the economy could shrink in the second quarter. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I'm Vinod Narayanan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.